Okay, so we got Nintendo is suing the US government because that's a thing that we have to worry about. Stupid idiots.
Nintendo may be taking
Oh,
on the
what?
world, and that may include the U.S. government as its lawfare campaign expands and continues. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and it's the legal mindset we teach you to be your own judge. So let's get right into it today. So this is a topic that many people have asked me to cover. And they've been asking me to cover this for a very long time because it's something very much ongoing and it affects not just Nintendo, not just Pokemon and Power World, but the entire gaming space. And this could affect a genre. This could affect the gaming space, the modding community, and even Nintendo itself. This could be make or break for Nintendo, where they cement an image in the world, in the gaming community, as the villain, as the evil corporation, and really turn things downward for their very own business. But we're going to talk about this today from both a legal perspective and also from a business perspective, because as I am a corporate attorney, I've seen the inside of these corporations. I know what makes business sense and what doesn't. And indeed, this campaign of lawfare is absolutely suicidal for Nintendo. And of course, this is a fast facts video. So if you want to see the longer, make sure you Japanese. And of course, when the US government gets involved, well, that will be a lawsuit in America. So let's talk about this. So first of all, there's an update that Nintendo is now arguing as part of their ongoing lawsuit with Power World that mods don't count as proper games. So what they're attempting to do is have Power World say, hey, you need to shut down every single mod out there of Power World, especially if it would
No,
even seem a little bit like Pokemon.
that's
We're going to
so
have you shut
stupid,
that down because Power World is, of course, being accused of
bro.
being
They are just out for Power World, man. That's kind of crazy.
too similar to Pokemon, and therefore, hey, we're going to say you got to shut down everything. Now, mind you, their current lawsuit is over patents. It's
So
actually not
you're gonna sue Power World, but not Minecraft for having Pixelmon? Because Minecraft has a modding community that made it's called like Pixelmon, and then there's also oh, there's another one. There's another mod. It's a,
not a copyright lawsuit, but they're attempting to expand it further. And you can see that, of course, people are coming out with mods and spin-off games right now. You see
it's
Pal
so
Farm
fun.
here, which is a Pal World spin-off game, enjoying a farming life with mysterious creatures known as pals. This is exactly the type of thing Nintendo hates. And what Nintendo is missing out here is that both Pal World and all these mods like Pal
Yeah,
Farm,
I don't understand how anyone can buy a Nintendo device nowadays. But you're absolutely a part of the problem. Nintendo is scum. They're
are
terrible.
things that actually help Nintendo, help the company, and help everybody, but only because they're operating from this scarcity mindset, which drives them into this insane.
Well, they're scared because people are making better games than the slop that they've been putting out for the past 30 fucking years. It's garbage. It's been the same style of text, the same style of gameplay for 30 years. And somebody comes up with a game that people actually want to play, and it makes millions in a matter of weeks. That's what you get, Nintendo. Maybe if you had catered to your audience instead of trying to lock them down, you'd have that money.
Lawfare, are they dragging them
Ooh.
Nintendo's decision? So the big issue with this precedent is if Nintendo wins this precedent, then any game which looks at another game and says, hey, this looks sort of similar to me, or hey, I made some last minute patent, and we're going to talk about the sneaky patent troll level BS that Nintendo is pulling.
Mm-hmm.
Any company could come out, file a last minute patent, and
What's
stop.
crazy is if you think about it, a company that didn't even make the gameplay mechanic could file a patent and take that mechanic as their own,
Mods.
if
This
that's the
would
case.
kill the modding community. This would allow big corporations, big corpos to nuke on the mod, or they make official support for that mod, right? Look at Dota, right? Dota became a thing, right? And that's once again seemed petty and ultimately pushed them deeper and deeper into the villain role. And the biggest thing
I don't think
that
they can
they're
go any deeper into the villain role. They already tried to change the gaming market and make every game $80, and it didn't work. Fuck them. They're losers. They're money hungry.
initial analysis has said, yeah, well, it's technically legal, but they really don't want a judge to look at it. If a judge looked at this,
Yeah.
they might say, hold on there, especially in the United States. hold on there. What you're trying to do is control the entire pocket monster genre, or even pocket character or
Yep.
sub character genre.
That's why they're trying to keep it out of court.
You
Of
really
course.
can't do that. You can't do that in America. You can't say, hey, no, we own the entire genre. You can't do anything in this entire genre. That's not allowed. Think about superheroes saying, hey, you can't make a superhero genre, or you can't
Yep.
make a monster genre, or whatever else, right? A horror genre, dinosaur genre, right? How far are we going to let these corporations go and just monopolizing genres? It doesn't make sense, and it stifles creativity. It's
Mhm.
absolutely horrible for everybody. If any of those patents in the US are challenged, US courts might not look so favorable.
No, of course not. They're going to do it in their own court system. Of course. I mean, that's how a lot of people get away with some of the scummy stuff. Like the think about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. There's a reason why Amber won the divorce court, but then she lost the actual the defamation suit because she did it in her court when she did the divorce, and he did it in his court whenever he did the defamation suit in a court where he was actually allowed to use the evidence that should have been used in her court
Favorably
to
on
prove how
Nintendo.
much of a
So under
scumbag she was.
US law, they might be in some trouble. And that's where Nintendo is probably sweating right now. Because if someone with deep enough pockets came at them and really came at them hard and really pressed them, they might be in some big trouble. So I want to get into a situation with America. In fact, it got brought up today by ICE in the Department of Homeland Security, which dropped a very spicy video. And I'm wondering whether there's some base Chad in the social media department at DHS
That's
who's just
so
sitting there.
funny.
He's a gamer, and he's like, "Hey, you know what's trending right now? Nintendo being an asshole. So let's troll them, and let's absolutely poke Nintendo, because if anybody can go after Nintendo, it is the U.S. government. Once
Yeah,
again, Nintendo has a
absolutely.
lot of money, but
The
the
U.S.
U.S.
government
government
has way
can just
more.
print money. I mean, they just print money. And what makes it even worse is most Japanese debt, if you don't know this, they tend to have a lot of it denominated in U.S. dollars. So as the U.S. prints, that just hurts the Japanese side. So Nintendo attempting to borrow would probably just end up benefiting the U.S. government, which just would fuel the lawsuit. So it's absolutely a glorious situation. It's litigious. We have to sue. I would love that. And I say it as a term of endearment, right?
That's
Of
so
course, I'm
funny, dude.
joking. That would be horrible for Nintendo. That would be absolutely disaster, history. And then the best thing that made me really laugh was weakness to ice. Weakness to ice. That's absolutely hilarious. And of course, they all die to a shed ninja.
Oh
Isn't
my
it sad
god.
when you all die to a shed ninja? But anyways, let's look at this in fair use. So let's say, hey, if Nintendo's going to come at the U.S. government, what would happen? What are the fair use factors? And this applies to a lot of other cases as well. You can use this just broadly, especially for copyright, etc. Well, there's really four things: purpose and character of
I'm actually even shocked that Nintendo has even gotten as far as they have with Power World. I think Power World is really trying to just get this thing dropped, because they even went as far as changing the PAL spheres and they made it into something else. And Nintendo still is trying to press them. Bro, like Nintendo needs to hop off Power World's
use.
dick.
Is it commercial,
Like
non-commercial?
seriously,
Is it
go find
research,
someone else to
educational,
harass.
governmental? The nature, is it factual or creative? The amount and substantiality of the work used. So if we're talking about the Ethan Klein lawsuits, right? If you just watch all of his content, that's all of it. That's really one of Ethan's stronger arguments in his lawsuits against Casey Tron, Denims, and the Orbiters, and Discord and Reddit. But they just use some clips, right? So that's a much different story. And then last is the effect on the market. So are you a market competitor? Are you a market competitor to Pokemon? So let's look at that comparing it to the US government. Let's pretend in a magical world, pretend world, where Pokemon and Nintendo sue the US government. This is not going to go well for them, because the
They're not going to
scarcity,
sue the U.S. government.
right?
They're
And
cowards.
it just takes over your thoughts. Beyond that, there's strategic differentiation. So let's talk about Pokemon and Power World. So
And you know
with
what's even crazier is that it's what Legal Mindset had said. If Pokemon actually did take Power World to court, I mean, if I was a Power World exec, I would just use the U.S. court system. I wouldn't even bother using their court system. I'd be like, yeah, sure, let's go to court. I'm not going over there. You can gladly sue me here, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would use the U.S. court system. Like, the hell with them. Seriously, like, it's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Pokemon is intended for
But they're not going to do that because the minute that any judge looks at this, they're going to throw it right out. They're
younger
just trying to
audiences.
use this
Now,
to
I know
bully
I
them
say
into a corner.
intended because that said, and I'm looking at all of you guys out there, and listen, I don't care how much Tylenol you've taken. I'm not going to judge you, right? No judgment here in the legal mindset. Yes, I know older people play Pokemon. I know a lot of adults that play. What it does is it boosts the genre, increase visibility. People are talking about pocket monsters, right? Pocket monsters becomes cool again. It becomes
This is the reason why a lot of people were against like what he's saying right now. A lot of people were against the whole reaction content. A lot of people still are because they live in the Stone Age. But reaction content helps your audience grow. Like, if I react to, like, for example, if Asmongold reacts to somebody's video and they've got 200 subs, they just gained like 200,000 subs. It helps you grow and thrive. And the people that are living under a rock, like that jackass that struck my channel for that Death Stranding thing, don't seem to understand that people reacting to your content isn't them stealing your content. It's them not only promoting it, but it also gets more people talking about it. It helps
and beyond that,
channels
what it does
grow
is
and
it
thrive.
boosts the genre, increase
It's the same
visibility.
thing with
People are
this.
talking about pocket monsters, right? Pocket monsters becomes cool again. It becomes a thing. Good for everybody. You do not need to knock everybody out. So my kind of, preaching to Nintendo here, it's sort of, the choose the path of good, right? I've been on this kind of thing.
I think that if Nintendo wants to sue the US government, then they're just gonna get fucked. I'd imagine that their legal team strongly advised against that, so they're probably not gonna do anything. I just think that it's crazy. It's crazy to me.